I slammed my mouse down and leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen like it had personally betrayed me. The trade was gone. Stop loss hit. Again. I didn't even remember clicking the button. My heart was racing, my chest felt tight, and the only thought looping in my head was, why do I keep doing this? I checked the account balance and felt that familiar sinking feeling. Another impulsive trade. Another self-inflicted wound. And the worst part wasn't the loss. It was the realization that I had seen this moment coming and still didn't stop myself. At that point, I had strategies, I had rules, I had watched hours of videos. I could explain market structure, liquidity, support and resistance, Wyckoff phases. I could quote Jesse Livermore like scripture. But none of that mattered when my finger hovered over the buy button and my emotions took over. In those moments, I wasn't a trader. I was a reaction. I remember whispering out loud, "You're destroying your own account." That sentence hit harder than any loss, because it was true. I wasn't losing because the market was unfair. I wasn't losing because my strategy didn't work. I was losing because I kept acting before thinking, clicking before confirming, entering before waiting. Every impulsive trade felt small in the moment, but together they were killing me slowly. Jesse Livermore once said, "The market is never wrong. Opinions often are." And that day, I finally understood what he meant. My opinions, my impulses, my need to be involved, they were the problem. I'd sit down with a plan and tell myself, wait for confirmation. 5 minutes later, price would twitch and my mind would scream, "This is it, don't miss it." I'd enter early just to feel involved. And when the trade went against me, I wouldn't exit cleanly. I'd hesitate, I'd hope, I'd negotiate with the market like it cared about my feelings. It didn't. I remember one morning during London session, I told myself, one trade, clean execution. I watched price approach a level. No confirmation yet. Suddenly, a candle spiked. My heart jumped. My mind said, "This is the move." I clicked buy. Within seconds, price snapped back and ran straight into my stop. I stared at the chart and laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was painfully predictable. I had just broken my own rules again. I leaned forward and said out loud, "You didn't wait." That's when something clicked. Every impulsive trade followed the same pattern. It wasn't random, it was psychological. The urge came first, the justification came second, the loss came last. And the scary part? I wasn't even aware of it while it was happening. Richard Wyckoff believed the market reflects human behavior more than anything else. In that moment, I realized my chart wasn't just showing price, it was showing me. Every fake breakout I chased mirrored my impatience. Every stop hunt that caught me reflected my fear of missing out. The market wasn't tricking me, I was exposing myself. At my lowest point, I had a conversation with myself that changed everything. I said, if you keep trading like this, you're not going to make it. Not because you're stupid, but because you won't stop reacting. That was hard to admit. Most traders don't fail because they don't know enough. They fail because they can't stop themselves. That was me. And if this already sounds familiar, pause for a second. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment saying discipline. Not for the algorithm, because acknowledging the problem is the first step to fixing it. After that realization, I decided to do something uncomfortable. I stopped looking for new strategies, I stopped tweaking indicators, and I started studying my behavior. I pulled up my trade history and didn't just look at wins and losses. I asked one question after every losing trade. Why did I enter this trade? Not what setup it was, not where my stop was. Why I clicked. The answers were brutal. I didn't want to miss the move. I was bored. I wanted to make back the last loss. I felt like I needed to be in the market. None of those reasons had anything to do with edge. That's when Jesse Livermore's words hit me differently. The game of speculation is played inside a man's own head. I had read that quote 100 times. I had never lived it until then. I realized impulsive trading wasn't a discipline issue, it was an awareness issue. I wasn't seeing the impulse early enough to stop it. So I built a pause. Before every trade, I forced myself to stop and ask, what am I feeling right now? If the answer was urgency, excitement, fear, or pressure, I wasn't allowed to trade. No exceptions. At first, this felt impossible. My body wanted action. My mind hated waiting. The first few days were rough. I missed trades, good trades, and my ego hated it. I remember watching a setup run perfectly without me and feeling that sting of regret. My old self would have said, "See, you should have entered." But I caught that thought and said something new. You followed your rules. That's the win. That was a shift. Richard Wyckoff emphasized patience as a weapon, not passive patience, but active waiting. Waiting while observing, waiting without emotional attachment. That's what I started practicing. Then came the real test. One morning, price exploded out of a range. Twitter was screaming. The candles were huge. My heart rate spiked instantly. The impulse hit hard. I hovered over the buy button and felt my hand tense up. This was my old pattern. This was where I usually failed. I took my hand off the mouse and leaned back. I said quietly, "You're feeling FOMO. That's not a signal." I waited. Price snapped back violently 5 minutes later and wiped out everyone who chased. I exhaled slowly and realized something powerful. I didn't feel relief because I avoided a loss. I felt relief because I didn't betray myself. That moment was bigger than any winning trade. And from there, things started to change. Not overnight, not magically, but measurably. If this is resonating with you so far, hit like, subscribe, and share this with a trader who keeps saying, "I know what I should do, but I can't stop myself." Because this is how the cycle breaks. By the end of that week, my win rate hadn't skyrocketed, my account hadn't doubled, but something far more important happened. The number of impulsive trades dropped dramatically, and with them, the unnecessary losses. I was finally trading less and thinking more. And that's where the real fix began. The next phase of fixing my impulsive trading wasn't dramatic, it was humbling. Once the obvious impulses started fading, I noticed something more dangerous hiding underneath: revenge trading disguised as confidence. This was subtler, cleaner, and far more destructive. I'd take a loss that followed my rules, and I'd tell myself, "That's fine, losses are part of the game." But 5 minutes later, I'd find myself scanning the chart aggressively, looking for a way back in. Not because the setup was perfect, but because I didn't like how the loss made me feel. I caught myself saying things like, "This one will make it back," or "I understand the market now." That's when I realized something important. Impulsive trading doesn't always look emotional. Sometimes it looks calm, sometimes it sounds logical, but underneath it's still the same urge to escape discomfort. Livermore warned that the desire to recover losses quickly is one of the fastest ways to destroy an account. I had read that, I had ignored it. Now I was living it. So I added another layer of defense. After any loss, no matter how small, I was required to step away from the screen for at least 10 minutes. No chart watching, no just checking, no analysis. At first, this felt unbearable. I felt restless. My mind kept pulling me back to the market. But that discomfort was exactly the point. I started to see how addicted I had been to action. During those forced breaks, I began noticing my internal dialogue. I'd hear thoughts like, "You're falling behind," or "Other traders are making money right now." That's when it hit me. Impulsive trading wasn't about speed, it was about pressure. Pressure I was putting on myself. Richard Wyckoff taught that the professional trader operates without urgency. He observes while others react. He waits while others chase. I finally understood impulsiveness was just urgency wearing a mask. The more I enforced distance after losses, the weaker the urge became. And something surprising happened. When I returned to the charts later, I often saw that the perfect trade I wanted to revenge trade into had never existed at all. That realization alone saved me thousands. Then came another escalation, the one that really tested me. I had a clean winning streak, 3 solid trades in a row. Execution was sharp, risk was controlled. And that's when my confidence started morphing into something else, overconfidence. I remember thinking, I'm finally in sync with the market. That thought felt good, too good. The very next trade, I entered slightly earlier than planned. I told myself I was just anticipating. The market immediately pulled back and stopped me out. Old me would have spiraled. New me paused. I leaned back and said, that was impatience pretending to be skill. Livermore once said that big money is made by sitting, not trading. That line echoed in my head. I realized impulsive trading doesn't disappear when you start winning. It evolves. It becomes greed. It becomes entitlement. It becomes the belief that you deserve the next trade. So, I introduced another rule. After 2 consecutive wins, I reduced my position size on the next trade. Not increased it, reduced it. This went against every instinct I had, but it worked. It cooled my emotions, it forced humility, and it kept my confidence from turning into recklessness. Slowly, my trading started to feel different, quieter, less dramatic. I wasn't glued to every candle anymore. I wasn't chasing every movement. I was waiting for price to come to me, and more importantly, waiting for my mind to stay neutral. One of the biggest breakthroughs came when I realized impulsive trading thrives on internal noise. The louder your thoughts, the faster your mistakes. So I made silence part of my routine. Before trading, I'd sit still for a few minutes. No phone, no charts, just breathing. Not to be spiritual, but to slow my nervous system down. When my body was calm, my decisions were calmer. And when I skipped this step, I noticed it immediately. My trades felt rushed. My patience disappeared. That alone told me how much my state of mind mattered. Wyckoff believed that the trader's job was not to predict, but to observe. Meditation helped me do that, not just on the chart, but inside myself. I could feel impulses rising before they turned into actions, and once you can see an impulse, you don't have to obey it. One day, during a particularly choppy market, I went an entire session without taking a trade. Old me would have felt like a failure. This time, I felt disciplined. That was a turning point. I finally understood that not trading impulsively was itself a form of winning. If you're still watching and this is hitting home, take a second, like the video, subscribe, and comment "Control." You're not alone in this struggle, and your engagement helps this message reach traders who need it. The final shift happened when I stopped identifying myself by individual trades. I stopped saying, "I'm a good trader today," or "I'm a bad trader today." I started asking one question instead: did I follow my process? This separated my identity from my results, and that separation killed impulsive trading at the root. Losses stopped triggering panic. Wins stopped triggering arrogance. Everything became data. That's when consistency appeared, not as a goal, but as a byproduct. Looking back, what fixed my impulsive trading wasn't a strategy, an indicator, or a secret setup. It was awareness, patience, and rules designed to protect me from myself. Livermore mastered his impulses through discipline. Wyckoff mastered his through observation. I borrowed both. If you're struggling with impulsive trading right now, hear this clearly. You don't need more information. You need more control. And control is trainable. Start by slowing down. Create pauses. Study your behavior. Protect yourself from emotional decisions. And remember, every impulsive trade avoided is capital preserved. Before I end this video, do 3 things. Like this video if it gave you clarity. Subscribe for more real trading psychology. No hype, no shortcuts. And share this with a trader who keeps saying, "I don't know why I keep doing this." Because the truth is simple. The market isn't destroying your account. Impulses are. And once you learn to see them, you can finally stop them. Thanks for watching.